Dang, it's cold here in North Texas. All right, so we've got some really loud jets flying over. We've got some really cold weather coming tonight here in North Texas. And of course, what's the only logical thing to do when you have this kind of cold weather? Well, I mean, you test out your gear. So I've never had my hammock set up out in cold weather yet, so I don't know what its limits are. And it's important to know the limits of your gear so you don't get out there into some dangerous situation and find out you're not warm enough. So right now it is about just a few degrees above freezing, and it's supposed to keep dropping through the night. So we're expecting to get into the low 20s or maybe into the teens. So I'm going to monitor the outside temperature with this. This is a little Govee thing, and it Bluetooths to my phone. So I can just lay in there with my phone and see what it is, what the temperature is. I'm going to start with this inside the hammock because I'm kind of wondering if with the doors closed and the tarp pitched lower with the walls steeper, if that's going to make it a little bit, kind of like give us a little hot pocket in there. Now I'm hungry for hot pocket. And then once I get the temperature of what it is in there, I'm going to move this little thing outside to find out what the temperature is out here and see if I actually do have a little pocket of warm air. Where did I have that? So for this test, I'm going to use items that I would only carry in my backpack when it's cold weather. I'm not using any other gear that I have in the house. So we'll go over really quick what I'm using. And the first I'm going to start with, this is a pair of silk pajamas I got off Amazon. Together they weigh like 5 ounces, and it's worth it in the cold because they make a big difference. So I'll definitely be wearing these as my base layer. Then for the top, I'm going to have my usual sleep shirt, which is the Arcteryx Merino blend hooded long sleeve shirt. And Merino is really important fabric to use because it's one of those ones that will wick moisture away from your skin and help you stay warmer. Then on top of that, I'm going to have my Kuiu Peleton 97 hooded long sleeve shirt, which is a very, very thin fleece. And then for my bottoms, I'm going to be wearing a pair of camp pants that I made out of Alpha Direct fabric, and I made them myself, and I got the pattern and instructions off of a MYOG website that I'll link down in the description at the bottom of the video. On top of those pants, I have my Enlightened Equipment Copperfield wind pants, and that's just to help as a vapor barrier to help retain more heat. And then on my feet, I will have some Goose Feet Gear down booties. I really like these gloves from Montbell. They're the Montbell chamois, and you can see they've got quite a bit of wear on them. But for winter weather, I take the mittens, and they have a little flip back part over your hands and your thumbs so that you can still use your fingers when you need to. So when it gets very cold, I like to take those. And then on my neck, I'm going to have a buff, which is like a neck gaiter, but this one is made from merino wool. So it, again, like we talked about, it wicks that moisture away from your skin. And then for my top, I'm going to have my jacket with me, which is this one I'm wearing right now. It's from not Montbell, it's from Enlightened Equipment, and it is a Torrid with the apex fill. So I'm not using down when it gets this cold, because if for some reason it was to get wet, it wouldn't insulate at all, because down just basically turns into like a wet Kleenex. So this is a apex fill, which is a synthetic fiber, and even when it's wet, it's still going to give you some insulation. And we know that with our quilts that we use in a hammock, they don't have a hood like a mummy bag would have. So I got this from Enlightened Equipment. It's also the apex fill, so my breathing and everything is going to make condensation inside of it. And it's a down balaclava, and it just fastens shut. Ooh, that's actually really warm. It just fastens shut, and then it'll keep you warm, and then I'll have the neck gaiter to come up over my face if I need it. Also, I love this down skirt. I like to wear a down skirt because we've already in the previous video talked about my cold ass. This helps cover my cold ass, and this one is made by Mountain Hardware, and I always bring it with me no matter what the temperatures are going to be, because I have a cold ass. So also I've got hot hands, and I always bring hot hands with me. I got them everywhere. So one of my friends told me about these ones, and this is the Hot Hands Super Warmer. So it's like the two individual ones, except it's all one big piece, so it's like body size. And I tend to like to put that on my core or on my back, so it can also help put some air into that, some warmth into that underquilt. And then also I carry 2 of the individual packets, and those ones are just, I'll put 1 in each of my down booties, and I also put 1 in each of my mittens or gloves or whatever I'm wearing, because I think we've mentioned before that I'm a very cold sleeper. All right, so that's gonna pretty much cover it all. Do I look stupid with this on? Because I'm not gonna take it off because it's warm. Click. Now I look extra stupid. Anyway, the weather is starting to get a little bit colder here, and I can definitely start to feel it since I've been standing out here and the sun's going further down. I do work night shift. Okay, I take it back. It's a little tight with my little fuzzy kitty cats on. It's already starting to get pretty cold. I'm guessing that as much as it's dropped now, we're probably starting to get into close to freezing temperatures here now. So, I'm gonna go ahead and head back into the house. I do work second shift, so I'm a night owl, and trying to go to bed at 8 o'clock is just gonna be way too early for me. So I'm probably gonna come out here around midnight and try to get to sleep. And whenever all the city noise start up and the cars start driving by and everything, I'm gonna go ahead and just head into the house and get some sleep in bed. Other than that, I'll give you guys a little update in the morning on how it went. So wish me luck. Well, I lived. The coldest it got last night was just under 20 degrees, and I mean like 19.9 kind of. Just under 20 degrees. It was just barely. I was hoping it was going to get a little bit colder, but still, this was a great test to see what the limits were, because last night I was toasty warm. I mean, there was a couple times I kind of had to vent some air out of my quilt because I was so warm. So now I know that I would be comfortable taking this setup into at least 15 degrees and be very comfortable with it, that I'm going to be warm. So I had also said that I was going to take my little Govee doodad outside, have it inside the hammock and tarp area for a little bit. Then I was going to take it outside and see what the difference was between. And it generally it was about right at 3 degrees warmer. That was pretty cool. I wasn't really expecting to see that because we had about a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind. And it was just, I couldn't believe that there actually is a little bit of a warmer air pocket up inside this tarp. So I'll put this little graph up here, and you can see when I took it outside from inside of here, you can see how it dropped. So like I said, about 3 degrees of warmth, and so there really is a little bit of a warm air pocket. Not like you would see in a tent, but it was a warm air pocket. So let's go ahead and talk about what I had inside the hammock area, because we talked last night about what I was going to be wearing, but we didn't talk about what I was going to have in here. And I figured that would be better to wait until I had an idea of what I actually used. So we'll start with my top quilt. This is a 0 degree top quilt from Hammock Gear. And also I have my usual 10 degree underquilt. This is the Hammock Gear Incubator, so it's a full length underquilt. But this is what I always have with me anyways, because I am a cold sleeper. The other thing that I carried that was a little bit different, so the 0 degree quilt and the 10 degree underquilt and those silk base layers that I talked about yesterday are all things that I would already have with me even if I was in a tent and sleeping on the ground in the winter. So those things did not change from what I would have had. The only thing different is this Underquilt Protector, and this one is from Dutchware gear, and they pretty much, if you're not familiar with these, the design of them is so that if you are in a lot of rain, or there's blowing rain and rain coming off your tarp, and gives it an opportunity to protect your underquilt from that water splattering up. So the other good benefit to it, and which is why I was using it last night, was because it's kind of like a windbreaker. So you can have all your warm layers on, but if that wind is cutting through, it's going to going to like really rob that heat away from you. This prevents that wind from robbing the heat out of your underquilt. One of the other things I talked about last night that was great was this Hot Hands Super Warmer. And this is how big that thing is compared to like the little Hot Hands ones that are for your gloves or feet are like this big. Also, my friend Bearbait, she recommended that I have this thin light pad from Gossamer Gear with me, and this is one that I carried with me when I first started hammocking, and I never really needed it and always kind of got wadded up underneath me, but she had said, you know, this could give you some extra insulation if you need it. So I did have it here in the hammock with me. I never ended up needing it. With this whole thing, we talked about that this isn't really added weight, because I would have had this anyway, and the silk base layers I would have had with me anyway. But the one thing I didn't have with me was this underquilt. So pretty much my total weight gain for winter, as different because of the hammock than without, is the Underquilt Protector. So this thing, 4.8 ounces, so almost 5 ounces. But this, I think that if I was going to be in very cold temperatures, this would definitely be worth it. So on a past video, I had asked you guys if you had any tips or tricks for what to do with the bag, your little bag you have of the things that you don't want to freeze, like your water filter and electronics and stuff like that. So I got a lot of cool recommendations in the comment section for what to do with this. Several of them for taking my little food koozie that I use for when I'm rehydrating my dinners so they can stay warm. To take that and put those things in it and just throw it inside the hammock in one of the peak bags or something. But I kind of shied away from that one because I didn't want to have things with food smells on it inside my hammock. And not just for bears. The bears we have in Arkansas really aren't that big of a deal because they're very scared. But it's the raccoons and the mice and the other little rodents and critters that might try to get to it. In fact, I had my backpack hanging on the foot end of my suspension, and a couple of weeks ago I did have something come and pull at it enough that it got my hammock swinging, and it woke me up, so I was able to get away, make some noise, and it took off. I think it was a raccoon. So another person in the comments had made a recommendation to, rather than tying it to the cinch cord at the bottom, to use the clips that are at the bottom and then just clip that through it and then tighten the little tension thing on top of that. And I did that and it worked like a charm. This turned out to actually be somebody I already know from trail maintenance. So you know who you are. Thank you for the idea, and also thank you for helping to keep our trails in good shape. All right, well, I'm going to call this test a success, and I will say that I have been in temperatures this low with the 0 degree underquilt and the Xtherm mattress, and I was not as warm as I was right here in this setup. So this is actually warmer than I was in a tent. I think because of the drafts are blocked through this, and you're just all wrapped up in a nice little cocoon of down. All right, well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you guys have any funny stories, tips, or questions, go ahead and put those in the comments. And in the video description, I'm going to put a list of all my gear. And if I can supply links for those items, I'll do that as well. Other than that, I'm done. So you guys, thank you for watching, and stay toasty out there.
I think I got it. I think I got it.